Hi, I'm Sandra Chavez. I'm a mother who lost my son 6 years ago. His name was Jeffrey Chavez, and he was 24 when he died. He became addicted to opiates as a result of an assault on his high school campus.
They come in, they're really in terrible shape, but it started in their teens. It started with a prescription that was given to them by a doctor. Maybe they didn't quite understand, the potency of it or the addictive properties of it.
5,000 years ago, the ancient Sumerians cultivated opium from poppy plants. They called it the joy plant. In the 1860s, we saw soldiers dependent on morphine after being given it as a battlefield anesthetic. However, it wasn't until 1995 when we started to see the level of overdoses and deaths due to opioids increase. This was due to Purdue Pharma heavily marketing OxyContin as a safe pain pill.
You have to accept some pain with them. So they're naturally addicting because as time goes on, you need more and more and more.
Oxycontin is legal heroin. You gotta start looking at it like that.
Having our physicians, holding them accountable, being responsible, holding the pharmaceutical companies responsible for not mismarketing and miscommunicating the fact that these medications can be potentially really, really addictive. The FDA just approved a brand new medication that is like insane to me. Really, we're losing a generation because of this. And John didn't want to die. None of these people want to die. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, I think I want to become addicted to painkillers and have it destroy my life. Nobody does that.
One may have felt anger towards her son, feeling like it was his fault that he was an addict, that he was making choices where it wasn't a choice. It was something that was controlling him.
But when you lose a child to something that you feel like it's really preventable, it's just so hard to put it into words.
Pharmaceutical companies have played a large role in the opioid crisis in America. By mismarketing their drugs, they have caused a rise in opioid prescriptions, thus leading to more addiction through the U.S. 80% of heroin users started with prescription opioids. 37.5% of opioid abusers started with prescription opioids.
Purdue Pharma was one of the big pharma agencies that got fined millions of dollars because their salesmen pushed these drugs as being better drugs, less addictive, and it turned out they weren't.
They don't wear out, they go on working, they do not have serious medical side effects. And so these drugs, which I repeat are our best, strongest pain medications, should be used much more than they are for patients in pain.
And that's what caused the opiate epidemic. It's the lie that was told, and the FDA, whether they chose to ignore it or they didn't, really do their own research, or that they were lied to, they approved it.
President Trump has declared the opioid crisis a public state of emergency in the U.S., but he has not taken any action in the White House to change this issue. Trump has taken no immediate action, but organizations like Fed Up and the FDA are trying to combat this issue.
A state of emergency is supposed to be an immediate action. There has been no immediate action. You want to see immediate services. You want to see all the barriers to access the medical care and housing, because so many addicts are homeless because they've stolen from their family, they've used drugs in their house. There's other teenagers in the house that makes it unsafe for them to be there around their siblings if there's a sibling that's addicted. You worry about needles. You worry about people that they're getting drugs from coming around. So you worry about the family safety.
So the prescribing and educational aspects of this needed to get tightened up. And they are tightened up now. There are a lot of government regulations happening both statewide and federal-wide to have proper education and proper distribution time-wise for these sorts of drugs.
We're looking at legislation. That's why we go to Washington. That's why we go and rally. That's why we hold rallies across the nation to try to make sure that the community knows, hey, we are out here. We need other parents to come out here with us and just show your outrage. You know, one pill can kill, and we know that.
That's really important in my healing, is to help bring awareness and education about the opioid crisis, that it is out there, that if it can happen to my family, it can happen to any family.
These are things that teens are faced with, you know. We're fragile. Human beings are fragile, you know. Even if you've had the best of family, you're still a fragile person.
Now, and in the last couple of years, many individuals and organizations are fighting to preserve the generations that have been and still are being crippled by the opioid crisis.
And, you know, the hard thing is that we are left here. John we're going to be celebrating his birthday, but he's not here. And I'm actually going to be leaving in a few minutes to go to his grave. Because that's what I do now.